first known date of hunting started around 1.7 million years ago. Today I want to talk about hunting because it's something I love to do, and it's something that is a lot of times not well known and not real understood, so I want to kind of bring some information and help people better understand about hunting. Some of the main points I want to touch on today is the history, a few techniques and weapons that are mainly used in hunting, and finally the benefits of hunting. As previously stated, hunting began around 1.7 million years ago. Hunting has kind of been an ever-changing part of human society, and the role it has had has changed many times over the years. It first began as a way of obtaining a food source. This is kind of how it began and went through until about the mid-1500s. At that point, it started becoming more of a sport. King and many wealthy people started hunting as sport, and many had their own private forests and private lands that they used for hunting. It slowly began to increase the amount of people that were hunting during this time, and the amount of people that are sport hunting. It became very popular among Ernest Hemingway and Theodore Roosevelt, who both helped to increase the fame of sport hunting. As you can see in this picture, this is Theodore Roosevelt with 2 leopards that he killed in Africa. Today, hunting has many different roles in many different families. Some like sport hunting, others use it as a way to obtain their food source. So the next thing I want to look at is some hunting weapons. So a few different ways you can hunt is you can use a gun or a rifle. This is popular by most people because it's the easiest form of hunting, and you can take animals at a large distance. The next is a compound bow. This didn't get popularized until about the 1960s, but today some of these are very popular and very well to use, and can kill animals very easily. And the final is the traditional or the recurved bow. This is kind of what we think of what a bow is, and what we think about the bow's always been. Today, most people that use this use it as a way to further the difficulty of their hunting. Some hunting techniques are spot and stalk, which is kind of walking up on an animal to try to get it. Other is sitting in a blind, which is pretty typical for most people. They're usually like this 4x4 box that you sit in, and you have a feeder. Tree stands are kind of similar, except you're up in a tree, and most people use this for bow hunting. Popularized also around the 1500s were dogs. Once they became domestic, people used dogs mostly to pig hunt and to bird hunt. As you can see by this picture. Horseback is another way, but this is kind of an outdated and mostly used by Native Americans to hunt down bison. And then falconry is the final way, which people use to take down varmints. I finally want to talk about some of the benefits of hunting and some things that a lot of people don't know about. First, hunting helps game animal populations. It has been studied and shown that with the kind of the rules of hunting and stuff since the early 1900s, it has really boosted animal populations and allowed many of these populations that are on the decline to be able to finally thrive. It's actually also a healthier source of meat. They're less fatty, so it's leaner meat and healthier for you. And also, there's not as many human growth or like hormones and steroids in their meat, so it's also healthier this way. And also, hunting purchases help fund conservation efforts. So most of the money you go to buy guns and ammo and any kind of hunting-related clothing actually goes in to help hunting conservation, and this has really been helpful into the future of hunting. And I finally just want to kind of review the 3 topics. We talked about the history of hunting, some techniques, some weapons used, and kind of finally the benefits of hunting. And I just kind of wanted to talk about this because it's something I love and something that I think has kind of been a less understood in the general public. So I'm going to now open up the floor to a few questions.